The lovely Debbie Boone joins us here. I mean, I'm sure you've talked about this a zillion times, what the song You Light Up My Life meant to you and your career, and kind of where it stands in your heart today.
Well, when I first heard it, I knew it was a good song. I wasn't excited by it, but I just thought, if somebody wants me to go into a recording studio and sing Happy Birthday, I'll do it.
The lovely Debbie Boone, the song You Light Up My Life. And it's one of those songs that, well, at least for some period of time, I think in virtually every human being, no matter what language they speak, that it was in their head for a period of time. To the point where everybody walked around with that You Light Up My Life on their mind, right? Which has to be a sensational tribute and distinction for anybody that's in the music business.
Well, for the most part, yes. And I am very, very grateful. But a few people did want to break that vinyl over my head.
Here's your record, Debbie. I'm using it as a Frisbee. What are you talking about?
The time.
Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
It was a lot of fun, the conversation we had. That was on our Believe podcast. You can check that out. I think all of those are archived somewhere. Mike Lubitz, welcome to the show, by the way. Debbie Boone turned out to be a hoot. You thought that was going to be a stiff, yeah. Mike Lubitz. And I don't know, that it was anything that had me greatly excited. I'm thinking, okay, we'll take a shot on this because Pat Boone, of course, was a very prevalent TV presence as a singer, and he was one of those guys with a real smooth style, a la, Tony Segreto would appreciate this going old school, a la his man Perry Como, who he played golf with, and some of the other guys. I guess Tony Bennett was around at the time, because Tony Bennett's been around forever, although experiencing some consequences and impact of Alzheimer's, but still able to, it doesn't matter, he could look at you, Lubie, and have no idea who the hell you were, even if you were his own son, and then get up on stage and sing "I Left My Heart" in San Francisco and not miss a beat. He did that at Radio City with Lady Gaga. That's kind of a nice, interesting relationship that Lady Gaga got Tony Bennett back into the limelight, and they seem to get along so famously because, let's face it, everybody thought Lady Gaga was a bit of a wacko when she first came on the scene. She really kind of evolved into somebody that, is to be, I believe, greatly respected, did she not? I mean, when she was doing Poker Face with all of those weird outfits and everything, and coming out like in a giant, a giant ball as a dress, so you thought, I don't know about this. Maybe the music of the old days was a lot better. Everybody says that. Every generation says that. But I do believe that our generation here, being a septuagenarian here, which sounds kind of weird, right? Mayo loves sticking me with that tag. Mike Mayo, the gambling gourmet. Because he likes to throw in a couple of zingers. Very, subtly cynical, that Mike Mayo, if you've noticed. And yet, it sounds awful, right? Septuagenarian. Ah, my God. Like you're one step away, knocking on devil's door. But I don't know. Does 70 and a hook sound any better? Because I do believe that today's 70 is like yesterday's 50. I think that is very much true. Anyway, good to be with you guys. The Defo Show here on this fine Tuesday. Many things happening. I'm Jeff Deforrest. If you hadn't figured that out yet, you would realize then that he, by deduction, has to be Mike Lubitz. And later on today, I'm going to talk to our good friend Harvey Fielkov. I get like a kind of a buzz off of Harvey's enthusiasm for sports. I really do.
It's like a drug.
No, I like it. I tell you what, and you met this gentleman, and he tried to make a great gesture for me yesterday, and I wasn't able to connect because I don't really pay that much attention to my phone, and I don't really go on like Facebook when I'm at the beach. Not one of those guys that I kind of find it odd that people go to the beach and you're sitting by the water and then you spend the whole time on your phone. It seems kind of weird to me. It's kind of like being at dinner with people and you have the phone on the table. Now, I might put the phone on the table because I really just don't like having it in my pocket. Most of the time, unless it's absolutely necessary, I don't bring my phone into restaurants. I go to a restaurant to sit and talk with whomever I'm with at the time. And, I don't need to text them when they're sitting next to me. And who wants to be distracted? You probably are constantly on your phone. Now, you could justify that slightly, Lubie, because you are always 24 hours a day trying to do some kind of arrangement to help us enhance our media presence and also try to drive the quality of the show to new levels by staying in touch with people, open to people, and that's how you're able to connect with people like Debbie Boone,
Yes.
who kind of came out of nowhere, right, as a guest on the show. But we had a guy yesterday who was kind of interesting on our Believe podcast, if you want to check that out,
Yeah. Really.
named Rick Prado.
Yes.
Man, and I had just, it's so weird because you tried to lay this on me, Lubie, with the usual hesitation and reservations like, well, we got this guy. And what was amazing was I had just seen the piece on him on CBS this morning by arbitrary oddball luck.
That's great.
And I just seen the piece with him, and it was fascinating. And he has a book out about being, in the espionage field there for the CIA.
Yep.
He was not, I guess he was an operative.
He was an operative.
So.
That's what I'm using. Yeah, he was like a level higher than just I didn't realize an agent was like low level.
Just a regular schmeck, yeah.
That like hired and trained agents and was like a level higher than agents is what he.
This guy was, Matt Damon in
yes, he was like big time. Yes.
The Bourne Identity. I mean, that type of espionage level. I mean, Homeland. Remember, I saw the last episode of Homeland the other day. Just happened to watch the last few minutes of it. Very, very fascinating series. And this guy was at the epicenter, and he was driving the pulse of a lot of that with Sandinistas and Contras and all kinds of crazy, secretive operations that they were involved in. And a fascinating guy. I just happened to see the piece with him, and we caught him on an interview, and we could have talked to the guy all day, but it was one of those deals where he only had a few minutes. Now Debbie Boone, that could have been anything, and yet we got a lot of mileage out of that. So you might want to check that out. She was hysterical, a Jersey girl, a true Jersey girl.
Yes.
And really had a great sense of humor. And I like the fact that, I was trying to find a nice way of saying that there was nothing worse than having "You Light Up My Life" stuck in your head.
And she owned it. You didn't have to say it. She said it.
I want to put this out there for the people on the chat line here, because we get some nice feedback there from it's sort of a handful of people that participate every day. But feel free to jump in there on the chat line here on Ion Channel and the feed that we're sending out right now. But what was the one hideous song that you had stuck in your head that you couldn't get out of your head for a while? I mean, the worst of them, right? For me, I don't know if you remember this song because it was before your time, and I don't know if it was very popular for any length of time after that. But there was a song by this group. They were one-hit wonders. I don't even know if they were a group. They might have been a duo. Zager and Evans. You ever heard of these guys? Zager and Evans?
Yes.
And they had a horrible song, I guess, about the fate of mankind called "In the Year 2525." And it was like, "In the year 2525." And it's the worst song ever written. I mean, maybe, I don't know. If you could find something, Milli Vanilli was doing better with their own creative writing than these guys were. And just an horrendous song. And it's still in my head. I mean, it's not as prevalent as it was when it was being popularly played on the radio and, just about any outlet. I think even bar mitzvah bands were doing like, "In the year 2525, when man was still alive," or it was like, "If man is still alive," or some horrendous prediction about the gloom and doom of the universe, which, you know what? We may not make it that far. I won't be around, but wow, 2525, is there any shot, Louie? Not looking good the way things are going right now over there with the Russians and the Ukraine. My God, what a hideous thing. And all you could do is have your heart bleed for these Ukrainians. Unbelievable. I was just reading an article where supposedly Russia has sent a mercenary hit squad in to take out Zelensky. These guys have been in the Ukraine for a while. They're like 4,000 crazy, mad Russians that will do anything and stop at nothing to accomplish their mission with huge financial incentives, although the ruble might not be worth as much by the time they actually get to these guys, if they do, God forbid. But and they're taking out supposedly Zelensky, and they've been ordered to take out like Vitaly Klitschko, also, who has made a lot of people feel. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't his biggest fan when he was a heavyweight champion. I know I have the poster there. Let me duck to the side here. Which side do I have to go to, Louis? I forgot. There it is, Vitaly Klitschko. Now, I just picked up the poster because I thought it was a cool picture. It was an awful fight. Vitaly Klitschko against Danny Williams. And I think I told you, the story behind the fight. Danny Williams was a guy from England who fought Mike Tyson. Tyson was kind of a shot fighter at the time, and he beats Tyson because Tyson tears his anterior cruciate ligament while he's in the ring. So he has to quit after like 3 rounds. Williams comes off as a big hero. Wow, conqueror of Mike Tyson. Tyson had already suffered his loss to Evander Holyfield and Buster Douglas. And, it was clear that he was not as interested as he used to be, nor was he anywhere near the same fearsome force that he was for a long period of time when he dominated the heavyweight division and the world of boxing. And, unfortunately, got involved with Robin Givens and met Ruth Roper. No, nobody had a more convincing knockout over Mike Tyson than Ruth Roper, the mother of Robin Givens. Very attractive young actress, by the way, Robin Givens, right?
Fine.
Tell me you didn't have a little thing for Robin Givens.
I loved her
back
in
in the day.
She was ahead of the class. She was great until Tyson. And then it showed a fun side of her.
It was a different side. Yeah, it really was. I mean, you almost felt empathy for Mike, although, spousal abuse is nothing to condone.
No.
But, and obviously that's a horrible aspect. But nonetheless, I mean, the psychological part, was she doing a number on Mike's brain or what?
Yes.
And I think Ruth drained all of his bank accounts. I think that's why he's still involved. I think he's selling dope now. He's actually not illegally, but I think he's in the weed business.
Yes, he is.
Mike Tyson, and probably flourishing as are a lot of other athletes. But nonetheless, I mean, imagine this mercenary force out there to take out Vitaly Klitschko. Incredible, Dr. Steelhammer. But that was a lousy fight. I remember some guy from England. The English fans are absolutely insane. The most insane of any sports fans are clearly the British. I don't know. Is that a fair statement? That might be insulting to other European contingents out there.
Okay, I mean, Euro fans, any of them, when it comes to soccer, what we think is adamant and rabid is nothing compared to what they do when it comes to soccer. So it's not much different for boxing. They're lunatics when it comes to their sports.
I mean, the Colombians will set fire to a stadium and think nothing of it. They'll take a guy out for scoring an own goal, I mean, they're crazed, but, crazed in almost a violent sense. The British are just absolutely in love with all sport, and if they get anybody that even has the slightest semblance of looking like they're going to be a sports hero, especially, I guess soccer would be their number one thing, but boxing is not far behind, and they haven't had that many great English boxers over the years. So when they do get somebody like an Anthony Joshua, who turned out to be a bit of a fraud, they rally around these guys like you've never seen. Lubie, I'm telling you, Las Vegas was starting people that were working the bars in Las Vegas that had been in the city for 25, 30 years. They started to speak in a British accent. That's how influential it was. Would you like another drink, old chap? You're like, what? Where did that come from? Hey, Lou, you were talking like you were from the streets of Brooklyn like a few minutes ago. So they infiltrate and inundate the town like nobody else. They're in Vegas. Of the people at the fight, I guess the arena holds about 15,000. 14,900 were from England. And they were lined up 100 deep at the race book, the sports book, to bet the fight. And they're sending it in on Danny Williams, who we believe has zero chance, 0.0. Plutarski, when it comes to beating Vitaly Klitschko, who at that time was pretty much at the height of his game. And, he was an awkward fighter, Vitaly Klitschko. It wasn't like you were going to look at him and find him in the book of fundamentals. But once he clocked you with one of those shots, that was it. He was, very effective as a one-punch knockout fighter. And, it was only a matter of time before he was going to land one on the very fragile jaw of one Danny Williams. And I remember a guy in front of me bet $25,000 on Williams.
Oh, that's
I'm there, bet like a horse race. I'm going to put $20 on a harness horse to finish second against the field. And the guy in front of me literally puts down $25,000 on Danny Williams to win this fight, having no chance. And I remember they were like screaming and yelling the entire time. And I don't remember how many rounds it went. It wasn't many.
No.
And it was ugly and it was lopsided. But Vitaly Klitschko kind of doused the flames of enthusiasm that the Brits had for boxing, I think, for the next several years. They were thinking back. I mean, it was just about as much of a slaughter as Marvin Hagler was against Alan Minter, their one-time middleweight champion, who was the guy that Hagler beat for his first middleweight title, which I think at the time, I guess there were two boxing organizations around when Hagler was champion. and the disappointment there. I mean, they were throwing bottles and everything. I mean, they get crazy, the British fans. But yeah, I mean, Vitaly Klitschko being a target of mercenary soldiers from Russia. Can you imagine that this guy, was proudly represented as a Russian his entire career? I
Yes,
mean,
say
you
I
don't
wouldn't.
think Putin had a few pictures with Vitaly Klitschko, somewhere on the walls of the Kremlin there? You got to be kidding me. So anyway, wild stuff. All you can do is literally. I'm not one to encourage prayer because I'm not really a religious guy. But if your thoughts are with these people, I mean, you can't help. Heartbreaking stuff going on there on the news virtually every day. I did want to apologize though. Jim Sarney, man, does me a solid. Jim Sarney, big fan of the Mike Mayo's Lunchbox, which had yet another arbitrary person talked to me yesterday. The guy, Kevin, a great guy, does the maintenance at the Pompano Municipal Tennis Center. A tremendous job. I mean, you would swear every time you stepped out there, including last night, that it was opening day at Roland Garros. I mean, the courts are pristine at almost all times. I mean, better than any other municipality that I've seen. I would say anywhere in the country. These are the most well taken care of courts and always in great condition. You don't get there at night and they're all scuffed up with divots and holes and the lines are coming up because the nails are falling out. None of that. I mean, it's absolutely great. Walk out there last night. I mean, it's a shame I'm not a better athlete at this point because it's almost a disgrace to put people at my level of tennis out there on these courts. And sure enough, what is Kevin? I always talk to. He's a big fan of our radio show. He likes you too, Lubie. Big fan of yours.
Hey, Kevin.
And he asked about you, and he sees me. I guess he didn't realize we weren't doing 940 anymore. And he says, "So were you blindsided by that?" I said, "Well, you're always blindsided in this business."
What do you mean? Literally, it was a Tuesday.
We were on a roll, on an absolute roll. Just finished up like a great show. You get the call there. We're going in another direction. All right, good.
Yeah.
And it shows you, I mean, how well managed that radio station was because every big story that's happened since they dropped all their local sports programming has originated and emanated from Miami, including yesterday's blockbuster with Derek Jeter stepping down as a CEO and divesting himself of his financial interest in the Miami Marlins. And, interesting story all the way around there. And we had some experience with that because I think we were the only people that paid much attention to the Marlins. I guess there was token homage paid to the fact that they existed on other radio stations in town. We happen to live in a town where at the time there were like 5 sports stations in a place where, I mean, it's just absolutely filtered with nothing but indifference when it comes to our local sports teams, especially the ones that aren't winning, like the Miami Dolphins. I guess they'll always be prominent because people are, always leaning on the false hope that they're going to get good like tomorrow, like they are right now, right? With Mike McDaniel coming in there. Everybody's like, oh, yeah, it's going to be great. I don't know if it is. I mean, I would tend to believe it's going to be more of the same next year. I don't see that team loaded with so much talent that this guy's going to be able to snap his fingers and just turn it around. Do you? I don't know. I mean, there's still the same elements missing that have been missing there for 20 years, like no offensive line.
Yeah, an entire offensive line.
And they're going to lose a couple of guys that might have been contributors. I guess this Mike Gesicki, the tight end, is a free agent now. I don't know. Do you see them signing him? He was.
They tag him. They don't seem to be using the tag on anyone else, so they may tag him. I don't know.
All right, I don't know. Is that a move that you look at and you go, "Whoa, there it is, man"? They tagged Mike Gesicki. Now we're going to the Super Bowl. Seem far away. I mean, in the distance. The Marlins, however, have slumped into an abyss of losing just a sea of. I don't know if they're in a sea of red ink, but I mean, how could they be making any money unless they're getting this revenue sharing and it's enough from Major League Baseball? Which we know that the books were always cooked to look like they were losing during the Samson Lauria era, and they were just making out like bandits. Apparently. So interesting story. We'll get into that. I did want to thank Jim Sarney. Here's my tale about taping up my sneakers, which I'm going to have to do again today.
Just buy sneakers.
And he tells me now, I guess this is my fault, but I don't stay on my phone a lot when I'm doing things that I'm out, like I said, having dinner, and when I'm on the beach, I don't like to be on my phone. I rarely take it out. The only reason I even bring it is so that I can plug in some music and bother everybody so that the people start to move away as I bring them, my own brand of music, which is not necessarily everybody's bag. I know that. I understand that. I dig it. right? You think Miles Davis was concerned about the average Joe liking what he was doing? I don't think so, Lubie. Right? Avant-garde, my friend. Do your own thing. And anyway, that's the only reason I'm on it. And Sarni brought me like a pair of sneakers. He said, he had some kind of connection through a family member, his brother, I think it was, like works for New Balance, and they just sent him like boxes of new shoes, one of which was my size and exactly what I needed.
Oh my
So
God.
he was trying to make arrangements to meet me, and he's across the street. I mean, I'm sitting at the beach, and he's at the restaurant there to Sea Watch with these sneakers. Sorry, Jim, I just didn't make the connection.
Oh my God, Defo. He went out of his way to bring you shoes.
I don't know that he. I think he might have been going there anyway, but he had deliberately put these sneakers in the trunk of his car, thinking he might run into me, and I blew the arrangement. So I'll be. I tried taping up the sneakers again yesterday. Futile, my friend. I mean, I'm waiting for them to pop about 2 miles away from the house, so that I have to schlep home, just like dragging my foot like Quasimodo. That's going to look pretty funny. But thank you, Jim. That was a very nice gesture. And it's nice to know that people are hearing the show. I mean, and Kevin says he caught me on WWN on Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. A big fan of,
Yeah, he listens to that daily.
This brought up an interesting question, which I didn't have a chance to ask him. What the hell were you doing punching up WWNN? Nobody tunes in that radio.
Well,
I mean, when do you have it on your button set? I mean, who would you be listening to that's on WWNN besides Mike Mayo?
Well, Mayo.
No.
Sarni's like dear friends with Mayo. That's why Sarni listens to us and Mayo. He's really good about following the local quote unquote talent.
I consider it an honor though, because he was at one time the media critic among his many duties there at the Sun Sentinel, where he was for years and years.
I haven't followed sports as closely as he does now since I was like in my 20s. Like he follows sports, like he knows his.
Oh no, I mean he's even into the women's aspect, right? I mean,
every sport.
What is more annoying? I mean, with all respect, I mean to women athletes, it's phenomenal. And I've said this many times. When I was growing up, I thought one of the things that women were missing out on, or the girls that were, growing up the same, teenage years that I spent, what was that they didn't really get to play team sports. And I felt that you had learned a lot just by being, I don't care what level you made it to. I mean, obviously, if you're a pro, you were very, very good and far better than Lubie and I ever were. But it doesn't mean that you can't, enjoy and play sports and get a lot of life's lessons that are taught through working with people in a sporting environment by team play and whatever, and learning people's, patterns and, weaknesses and strengths. And being able, if they're on your team, to help them, exacerbate that and take advantage of it. And if you're going against them, unfortunately, yesterday, sorry, Dr. Jerry, but by accident, I must have laid 10 drop shots for winners on this guy. Now I know he has no knees left. I mean, Joe Willie has better knees than Dr. Jerry Perlmutter right now. And he actually said to me in frustration, and I wasn't doing this intentionally, though, Lubie. I was actually shanking a lot of returns, just a straight shank, because he serves everything to my backhand, because I kind of am able to get a pretty good lick on the forehand, with the looping serve that he has. But the backhand, I'm weak, right? And so anyway, he serves everything to my backhand, and I'm trying to hit the ball deep, because I know the guy can't run anymore. And everyone was just shanked, slicing off the racket, and perfectly placed a drop shot winner on the opposite side of the court.
You're like,
and he eventually just fired a racket against the fence there. Now, what was interesting about this is that he's a podiatrist, and he was worried that we wouldn't be able to play the game because he had a surgery scheduled, and the hospital got backed up. So he was able to find like a couple of hour window there where he could come play tennis, and then he was going to go back to the hospital and do this surgery.
Oh, geez.
Right? And I'm thinking, wow, if the patient could see this guy firing this racket against the fence out of frustration because the asshole me that he was playing is just, annihilating him with drop shots. Not even by design. Now, do you apologize for beating a guy? You have to apologize in this
You're
case.
older. You're not trying to, like, when you play that kind of a game, you keep score, but it's more you're trying to have rallies. Like, you're not trying to, gotcha. You just
I
want
think you're out there trying to win, but if the rallies happen, they happen naturally, and you have to be able to, unfortunately, dig for some balls. But I know this is not a strength of his, and yet my natural approach is to mix in the drop shot, which you're seeing a lot more even on the highest level of professional tennis. If you noticed in the Australian Open, Medvedev and Nadal, they just had a match. I think it was in Acapulco, and they're throwing droppers in there. I mean, and this is on a hard court, which it's even more conducive to use the drop shot in a clay court setting because the ball's even more likely to just die right there on the vine or stay so low that the guy can't do anything with it. Now the opposite strategy is in effect, a match tonight against my son Jesse, who's runs like a deer, and the drop shot is a complete waste of time against this kid. He comes right up there, smashes the ball back in your face, and you go, "Oh shoot, you run a lot better than Dr. Jerry." I should have been a tennis coach. No way. But anyway, thank you, Jim Sarney, for the sneakers. I tried taping the sneakers up yesterday. The tape fell off right away.
like you can go to
Right away.
Marshalls or Ross. Like you don't even have to go to Dick's. Like you can go to so many stores and just get some kind of sneakers.
What are those sneakers called, though? I keep asking Jersey Kyle, and I keep forgetting because he's big into the, having the right shoes for walking. You wouldn't think so, right? Because he
CrossFit?
wears like, it's called like Access or something. Is it ACC?
Asics? You
AX?
know what? Asics?
Yeah, those shoes are supposed to be good, right?
Okay, I don't know. I didn't know people about walking. Like I know you buy running shoes. I didn't know people about walking shoes. Like it's just walking.
There are shoes, I guess, that are designed, I guess for
For
jogging and walking, but it wouldn't hurt to have a little bit more support
Yes, that's
than
good.
the completely, raw. I mean, there's zero padding there in those shoes. Imagine if they're falling apart, also. But I used to tape them up. I was going to say about Jersey Kyle, though. I mean, he has good taste in athletic sneakers when he's walking, and then he's a guy that will wear with a suit, as he did to your wedding, a pair of high top white Converse All Stars. It's like, what do you want? Sports Center? You're worried about the slick floor in the studio there? I mean, wear a pair of shoes, Jack. Come on. Who am I to be, the fashion police? I mean, not exactly a fashion plate myself. All right, so we'll get into this Jeter thing in just a few minutes because, it's interesting. We were very close, as close as you could possibly be. I wouldn't say that, but we were very close among the local media, closer than most to the Marlins organization because we were working at a radio station that was a flagship.
Yep.
Now, I don't know if this is always true, but there was a tremendous amount of paranoia around the relationship. Did you not sense that?
Yes.
Or is that just a byproduct of and people think we sound bitter, but we're not. We're just being honest. It was one of the most weakly managed radio stations I've ever worked at. For as magnificent as the facility and the signal was, and the opportunity was, and the available platform was, just horrendous management. Once, our man Brian Olson was very good. He kind of kept his distance, but you would have to say that, was it not poorly managed? They were deathly afraid to do anything or say anything with regard to the Marlins organization. Remember the paranoia about the simplest of things?
Yeah, they left us alone and didn't tell us what to say and what we couldn't say, but they themselves had a weird sense with the Marlins. There was a weird... I don't know.
What was it? Yeah, we were interviewing Derek Jeter for the first time, right? I'm 2 questions into the interview. Now,
the first Jeter was the only time they got...
Well, we were talking about the Yankees because let's face it. What do people know Derek Jeter as a New York Yankee?
Yes.
And somebody's on the phone to Lubie after 2 questions. We hadn't even started yet. I mean, we have 10 minutes with this guy. We're in like the first introductory minute. You guys know how we conduct our interviews. We're not going to be like, total stiffs here. We want you to get to know the people and what they actually think and, trying to get a laugh out of them or whatever, show some personality. It's not like Jeter's going to show a lot of personality because does he not have a personality, Jeter? It's always very straight-laced, matter-of-fact. I mean, almost Belichickian in the interviews that he did. He had a wild lifestyle going, apparently, while he was with the Yankees. It wasn't quite Mickey Mantle. I guess it was much more privately executed, if that's the proper word. I mean, he was living a pretty good life, right, with all of these babes?
The women, yes. He didn't go out and carouse a lot. He wasn't like on the town. He did a low key behind the scenes at his own
You weren't
place.
going to see him throwing a drink in Billy Martin's face,
Yes.
Or something like that, and then
But
a fist fight evolves.
He had a nice line of women. He did really well.
It was one after another, one babe after another. He married a
Well,
babe,
like,
right?
yes.
Is it Hannah Davis, the lady's name that he married? A
She was a
top
model.
model and, obviously a very attractive woman. 3 kids now. So he settled down. But, wasn't the easiest guy to get to know. And I think there was kind of like a little bit of an edge around the Marlins organization that wasn't favorable for them to ingratiate themselves back into the good graces of the local community while they were losing like 100 games a year. Just wasn't working out. But it's a big story around the country. We'll get into that, and to show you, once again, and this is not bitterness, my friends, but how well managed this local sports station was. We have been the epicenter of all of the explosive stories in the sporting world for the last several months now. So, what better time to bag all your local programming that you weren't paying for anyway?
They paid nothing.
So the people could listen to Brady Quinn.
There you go. Oh, their ratings have tanked too. We were never getting monster ratings, but
I don't know.
and I don't wish.
Turn the transmitter on. They were going to get that same number. I mean, the idea was that you could have built on it if you had any imagination, and you had the people that were willing to do it. Much like, I mean, look, their loss is, Jack Namer's gain, is it not? Jack's probably smiling right now.
We never
cared about all the money.
Yeah, exactly. We never cared about numbers, but they set a number that they haven't set in years. So no matter what we were doing, it was better. And I don't care about it. And I wish them well, actually. It is what it is. But I just find it funny that it was a really weird time to pull that.
Well, this is true of ratings. And I knew this when ratings mattered in radio. I don't know that they really have all that much significance anymore.
They track them, but that's stupid because they don't show anything.
Well, it was a very, intangible thing to try to measure. I mean, if you have a monitor on a television set, okay, a guy turns on NBC, then there you go. He was watching NBC for the last hour. Yeah. You can see that. Radio, I mean, you're punching around anyway, so it's very difficult to peg. And when they used to have the diaries where you had to fill out, like, so they would send 1,200 diaries out to a community of like 4 million.
Yeah.
And that's how they established the ratings. And, who were the people that were filling out these diaries? Yeah. Right. I mean, if somebody sent you, a book and they gave you $5 to for a week track everything that you listen to on the radio, how serious are you going to take that, Lubie? You're going to take the book and chuck it in the garbage, spend a $5 there on, a $2 Exacta box, whatever. So, and I remember my mother used to get these. She was in her 90s and she was getting solicitations to participate in Arbitron ratings for radio. Now she doesn't even have the ability to turn on a radio anymore. But it was true when they had the diaries before they came up with another system, which was absolutely worse.
The PPM.
That, and the case was that you were better off being the absolute worst talent on a radio station that already had like established people on it than being the greatest in the world at a station that didn't have much else. And you would benefit in the ratings. I mean, the worst guy on the best station would end up getting high ratings. Yeah. If it was like a sports thing and the station.
Just turn on a station and just leave it there. So it doesn't matter who or what's saying anything.
Exactly. And you could be a monster somewhere. And if the station wasn't getting or drawing any attention in any other day part, guess what? You were probably going to be like a 0.0 also. The biggest fallacy of the ratings was, people to this day still quote like things from Neil Rodgers, who was a local talent here. Checked out, 10 years ago already? Maybe more.
Longer.
How long has Neil been gone? Anyway, he was the highest rated guy forever. I mean, just a monster in the South Florida radio market, and probably would have been a big talent nationally also. I thought the guy was brilliant. A lot of other people did as well. I don't know that he always focused on taking ultimate advantage of the things that he was best at, which literally was any kind of political or these issues. He was brilliant at those, but he was mostly doing like a comedy show, fetching a lot, but which was fine. It was entertaining. It was a meal of the day. You turn on the radio, you might be able to get a laugh. Maybe hear him cussing out some caller or playing any number of bits. But the minute they switched from that diary system to where they had the people meter, where they supposedly put like a watch on you, like you were on house arrest. People didn't know if you were like doing an Arbitron survey or you were on house arrest. Oh no, I'm fine. I'm just doing Arbitron ratings here. That's why I'm wearing this. Um, all of a sudden, the guy's audience disappeared,
Yeah, magically.
and here we are, like 10 years later. People still talk about this guy and can quote things that he said, and they recite bits that he played over and over again. So it's kind of interesting how influential he was for a guy that supposedly, with the new system of measurement, had nobody listening to his shows. Which we always qualified on that front, so it was great.
It's been 12 years actually since he passed, which is crazy.
Imagine that, Lubie, 12 years ago. This guy.
Yeah, that's nice.
Still talk about him, and yet they got rid of him in the very beginning of like a lucrative contract because supposedly he had lost his entire audience from the time they switched from these diaries, which was a cockamamie, archaic system of measurement, to the people meter, which was even worse. Because if you got in an elevator at the racetrack and they were playing, the typical elevator music that was coming off, like what is the radio station in town here that plays the elevator music? And they're always number one. Like they have like the highest ratings.
97.9? Is it 97 or is it Magic? 102.7. I feel like it's.
No, it wasn't Magic.
Well, it used to be 97.
WLYF, Life, which by the very
Life.
by the very branding that they go by, I mean, you want to take your life when you hear this radio station.
I don't know.
How did I get on this? Sardi got me going on that. Thank you, Jim, for the effort yesterday. I'm very sorry. But I didn't even think the guy, I thought the guy had long since left because I went in the ocean for a while to drown my sorrows. I was thinking about just going out to the horizon. There was some kind of weird operative going on yesterday also. It almost looked like the Ukraine with a police helicopter that was hovering about, I would say, maybe would it have been 20 feet above the ocean and scanning up and down the shore. And then and he was just going up and down very slowly, looking for something in the water there, which, a dead body? What do you think was in the ocean, Libby? Immigrants? I don't know. You would have seen.
Probably cocaine. Seen enough of Billy Corbin's
drugs. But it was right by the beach this guy was. I mean, he was literally, if you were in the ocean, he was hovering over your head, this police helicopter. And then like 3 Coast Guard choppers came and started searching other areas along the beach there by Commercial Boulevard. Pretty weird. I don't know. I don't know that I've seen that before, where a chopper was just, were they just practicing or something, Lubie? What do you think?
I don't think they do that in public.
A lot of wasted gasoline then, yeah. If they were practicing trying to maybe do some kind of a dive down and save somebody in the middle of the ocean. I don't know what the hell that was. But it was a local police chopper. So they were looking for something, and I don't think they found it. So, that was kind of an interesting little sidebar there to my trip to the beach. Anyway, didn't get the sneakers. Sorry, Jim. But walking again today in tattered, just ripped. New Balance, 1,500 miles on these shoes at least, Libby. 1,500 miles. Can you imagine?
Nice.
That's Forrest. That's Gumpian. You're like halfway across the country. I could be in St. Louis. Would have taken me a year and change to do it, but nonetheless. All right. I don't know. What is your... you have some thoughts on this Jeter thing? Because, obviously we ran into the guy a few times at several Marlin functions. We had him on the radio a few times. It just seemed like he was kind of distant and in his own little shell, just like he was during his playing career. And it doesn't work in this sports market. It just doesn't work.
I think he was sort of expected. He had a 5-year contract. The minute his contract's up, magically the team's going in different directions, and look, they were never going in his direction. They never spend money. And Sherman, you needed someone who was sick wealthy to come in and be willing to spend, like Mark Cuban did with the Mavs, and eat it until the team turned it around. Bruce Sherman was pinching pennies since the minute he got here. So what did Jeter think otherwise? I think he's had more involvement than people give him credit, in the sense that the farm system has done a 180. They went from being like bottom 3rd in the league to top 3. So that's impressive. But I think everything he said in that fucking statement yesterday was a total load of garbage. I don't think there's any.
He wrote 3 paragraphs. 2 were, generic stuff that you always see in these kind of situations. And the other actually was, hinting at what the core of the problem was, which was that, your man Bruce Sherman sounded like he didn't want to really spend any money. the weird part about it was they gave a figure of $10 to $15 million supposedly was going to be spent in addition to what they'd already laid out there. They made a couple of trades
Yeah, they
during
made
the
a lot of trades.
offseason. They acquired a couple of players that they actually extended into reasonably decent contracts, certainly by their standards of today. Maybe minor by major league standards, but they had a couple of guys like 4 or 5 years. Sandy Alcantara, their ace pitcher, is worth having. I mean, how they talked him into signing 5 years, $56 million.
It's impressive, and he's one of the top.
When a burnt out Max Scherzer is worth like $37 million a year, you have to wonder. I mean, that was a good move, and it showed a commitment by the pitcher, the player, to maybe the organization, maybe making you think that, all right, maybe there's something to this whole thing. That's a lot of maybes, Lubie, if you've noticed that. Yeah, but was 10 to 15 million more dollars in payroll gonna put the team, into any kind of form of contention? I don't know. I don't see that.
I don't know.
It's the era of the home run. You have to have some guy on your roster that's hitting like 45 home runs.
They needed bats, and I don't know. I just Sherman never seemed like a guy that was going to spend big. So where was the separation where he thought he was going to spend big and now he's not? Like, come on, no one spends big here.
What I could gather, they had a good article about it in the New York Post. Joel Sherman, the great baseball writer, and he's featured in the Post and all around the country. And he was saying that one of the issues was that Gary Denbo, who was with the Yankees and was with Jeter since he was in diapers, as kind of a confidant and an advisor, whatever. He's come on board here with the Marlins. I guess he was with the team last year, and there was some kind of battle about who was actually going to be making the calls, and was Denbo too influential? And Jeter, I guess, was having problems, with the hierarchy there, which is surprising because you would figure everybody would just capitulate to whatever it was that Jeter was saying. But he didn't strike me as somebody that really understood the marketing of the team, which did they even have a marketing director? And they were horrendous from a PR standpoint. I mean, their publicity department, and we got along well with them.
Yeah,
was horrific. I mean, you would beg them to put a player on the air just to, let people know that, well, there's some personalities on this team that you could root for, even if they're in last place. And we get back to you in a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah.
And then tell you, to go bleep yourself.
This group was the group before never got us people at all. This group was better, but it's at the end. This last year was very weird. Like
something happened there. Yeah, there was
very
something
weird. Last year,
a stink bomb placed at the bottom of this thing, I think.
They were less receptive. They would not get back to me at all. And if they got back, like sure. There was a disconnect. And
Glenn Geffner, I mean, is a great example. One of our favorite guys to talk baseball with. Just like we love talking basketball with Jim Larrañaga. I don't care if Jim Larrañaga wins a game at the University of Miami. He's always an interesting guy to talk to. I mean, going back to, naming the starting lineup for St. John's from what year was that? Like 1970? No, before that. It was in the 60s. He's talking about a starting lineup. He goes 5 guys deep in the starting lineup of the St. John's basketball team that featured the Whopper, Billy Pauls. And you're thinking, wow, I mean, that's great. You would want to talk to this kind of guy because he gives you enthusiasm for the sports world. And, whatever sport it is, he's just embellishing the reasons to go ahead and maybe dive in and invest your emotions and your time in being a fan, no? College basketball? Didn't you get a good vibe for college? I watched a little more college basketball last night than I normally would just because we talked to Larrañaga yesterday. And Jeter could have been that for the Marlins. But Glenn Geffner, the play-by-play guy, who's, I guess, now going to be the main guy on the radio now that Dave Van Horn, Baseball Hall of Famer, retired. And so he steps back. They kind of hosed these guys a little bit last year in their dealings, which I thought was weird because your announcers can be a great liaison to the community, right? Remember the first year of the Marlins, right? You had Dave O'Brien and Joe Angel. Were they not kind of infused into the community? Yes. You could hear their calls. You couldn't wait to hear. When they won the World Series in '97, it was very much like the Debbie Boone song, "You Light Up My Life." Their voices were in your head.
Yes.
But that's part of it, right? That's part of kind of integrating a team into the consciousness of the community, and that was sorely lacking by these guys. What was it not? And I'm not sure that Jeter was ever going to bring it about because I would say this. I felt a little awkward around the team, in the Jeter era. Did you not? I mean, I might feel a little awkward around anybody.
I was gonna say, I don't know. I don't know, like the people we've been working with were a lot better, so I felt fine. Jeter
They
was
started out great. I mean, I couldn't have felt any more welcomed in. Yeah.
They were just weird with Jeter. Jeter was at like an arm's length, and he was very Miami focused. It's something I've heard people say that he sort of pushed the Marlins away from Broward and Palm Beach. And the more I thought about it, he always talks about Miami, because again, he was a New York guy, and it was like Miami's never supported the Marlins. The two areas that support the Marlins the most, strange enough, is Broward and Palm Beach. Like, they're huge.
It's all Jewish guys like me that still like baseball.
It is. Like, Miami is weird with the Marlins. Like, there's always been a love-hate thing with the city of Miami, which is fine to want to get Miami involved, but he went all in on Miami and sort of, and I was like, yeah, I guess because Broward and Palm Beach has never really been mentioned by him at all. He doesn't say South Florida. Like, that's, if you notice, we always talk about South Florida as one entity, and most people from this area do that.
We understand it here, but people around the country have no idea. I mean, they just think of this as Miami. I always did.
Yeah. Okay, it's funny, and we don't reference other people here, but Levitard said something that you and I could see us saying, and it was like, I don't think Jeter did a bad job. I think he never got, it's something you've said since I started working with you, and I've talked about it with our last boss, and she was from like Philly, where that's like in New York or Chicago.
Yeah.
Turn on a transmitter, say the word sports, and you'd have 10 lines lit up, and you'd have people actively listening, meaning they'd be texting, they'd be calling.
Yeah. That was part of the pulse of the city. The sports talk radio. Yeah, it really was.
Different. Like, there's no. You like it. Like, and if you don't know it, like, he's coming from New York. He's like, yeah, fine. They don't spend. They don't go. Yeah, whatever. They'll eventually spend and go. No, like, you got to win consistently, and then maybe they'll go. Like what Riley did.
There's been a tremendous opportunity here, and I don't think it's exclusively driven by winning, which a lot of people would theorize to be the case. And that is, you can immerse yourself into the pulse and the consciousness of the fans in a lot of ways. And I think the teams here, now it's become more true of sports organizations in general, that they become more distant and more standoffish to the idea of integrating people and welcoming them with open arms, like what was the case in the past, right? I mean, are you friends with any Marlins players? I used to be, decent friends with, and I'm not a jock sniffer, you know that. I'm not trying to, integrate myself into the players' lives or whatever. But just like with the, say, Dolphins of the '90s, where you still have many friends like O.J. McDuffie and people, and you see them around town. It's like, hey, OJ, because you were used to sort of being a part of the team as if you were part of this, family of people. And the Marlins had a little of that in the beginning, but carried over none of it after, people despised the previous owners prior to Sherman and whatever. I didn't realize that Derek Jeter, I know he put up like 20 million supposedly. I don't know that he did, but I that was the number that everybody said, and that was only worth 4% ownership of the team.
Yeah, he was not out.
Yeah, so interesting story yesterday. Of course, it all evolves out of South Florida here.
Always,
we are now the center of all controversial and mystifying sporting activity.
It's true, the florist thing.
Yeah, I bet Stephen Ross is happy Jeter stepped down, right? That gets him, puts him one more page back in the sports section about the possible allegations. Well, the allegations are there, but the possible criminal attempted sports bribery. That would be a beauty, wouldn't it? A guy like that goes down on something so stupid. I'm not rooting against him. I always thought Russ came off as kind of a decent human being, did he not?
At the beginning, he wanted to spend. It's just he always surrounds himself with morons, and it's every time now. Like, it's not
who are these people that are in his ear?
Carl, what's his name? Then Tannenbaum. Then, like, it's always someone. Ireland before before. It's always
What was the guy's name? Carl Peterson? Was that the guy?
Who was great in the 90s with the Chiefs, but that was the 90s.
Wasn't he with the Eagles also? That guy was like an executive, very
I
successful.
remember with the Chiefs, with like Marty Schottenheimer. Peterson was a big part of with Derek Thomas and Neil Smith. He was great in the 90s. He wasn't okay. That was 20-something years ago when he was helping the Dolphins in the 2010s.
Yeah. No, it's been a long time since and there is, a distance, I think, between the fans and virtually all of the franchises here. Now the Dolphins do some good things. When they have this bike ride for cancer, they raised a bunch of money again. See, that's the kind of stuff the Marlins needed to be doing, and they need to be out more in public. That they do have some great ambassadors. We love Miggy Rojas. I mean, here's a 260 hitting shortstop that the people are in love with.
Yeah, he's great.
Right, because he has enthusiasm, and you know what? So what if he's going to hit 275 in a good year? I mean, he's hustling all the time. He always makes you feel like he's out there, trying to do some good, and a great ambassador for the team. But where is he? Right? Should the Marlins not have been contacted? Well, I guess they can't right now. With the
lockout, they can't do anything yet.
Yeah, but I mean, there was just no campaign out there, and there are subtle ways to do it. Jimmy Johnson was great like this, okay? He got you interested in what was going on with whatever team he was coaching, because he'd pick up the phone and call a radio station in the middle of a show where, I'm on the air with like Joe Rose and Steve Goldie Goldstein, and all of a sudden, line 2, it's Jimmy Johnson. You're thinking, yeah, sure. What asshole is trying to do a Jimmy Johnson impression that's going to come on the show here? And it's Jimmy. And he's saying, you know what? We're going to beat the shit out of the Cowboys this week. And that's good stuff. I mean, if it doesn't work, it doesn't look so good, right? Like with Rex Ryan. When everybody, he was going to crack some skulls, and the next thing you know, they were losing like 53-0. But he had his share of success. And you know what? If you can combine a little bit of success on the field with a concerted effort to integrate yourself into the community, you might have a chance here in South Florida. Other cities, you don't have to do this stuff. You're right about that. I mean, in New York, what was the biggest story every day? The Yankees. Every day.
Good, and they weren't or whatever. It wasn't like anything crazy was happening. It was on the field stuff.
Yeah.
That's never our thing. We barely talk about on the field.
Because there's very little to talk about there.
Exactly. The Heat and the Panthers are good. We never mentioned either.
Heat had a huge win yesterday against the Chicago Bulls. They manhandled the Bulls, just annihilated the Chicago Bulls last night.
I don't mean us. Like we would talk hockey. We would talk baseball. Talking about the South Florida fan wants to talk recruiting, wants to talk off season more than they want to talk in season. It's mind blowing.
Yeah, I mean, breakdowns of games on talk radio shows, though, it kind of flew the coop a long time ago.
Oh, that's boring. But you could talk about the team. Like you and I, we would talk about the Heat streak. And Rothstein's going to join us. So we'd have Coach Rothstein on. And we talk about how they're playing. You and I would get into that. I guarantee the fans would tune out the minute we mentioned, well, they might get LeBron. They all come back.
LeBron takes a shit. And the universe goes nuts trying to figure out what it is he meant by that. And he probably, was making good on his promise to eat tacos on Tuesday. I don't know. Right? But I mean, every day, there's not a single day goes by there isn't some kind of material about LeBron James on there. And I guess maybe, is it that, these kind of things sell, star power sells, obviously. And are the people are we that stupid that there is nothing else out there? See, I believe people are looking for something else, but, this is all we're fed over and over and over again. Like, oh, my God, is LeBron going to finish his career in L.A., or is little Bronny going to come in? And is that kid even going to get drafted? He's in commercials now for cryptocurrency.
He's going to get drafted now because LeBron – what's so funny is 2 years ago, LeBron was like, I feel bad naming him LeBron because he's going to have my thing. So we call him Bronny because I don't want him to be in my
He looks just like him, though. He looks exactly like him.
The problem is he's not as tall as him, and he's not as big. Near as good. So, like LeBron, I think realized, oh shit, my kid's not going to get drafted. Well, I'm going to play with him. I promise. Whoever takes him, I'm going to play. So it's like now he's getting deals, and he'll probably get drafted in the late first round because LeBron has promised wherever Bronny is, he'll be there. He'll either go or have Brownie draft, like he wants to play with his son. His son's not that good. He's a low 4-star, high 3-star.
Yeah.
Like he's an average kid. He's not on his own high school team. He's like the 3rd or 4th best player.
All right, so LeBron goes to Israel and plays with Bronny in his final year. And who knows? Maybe even finds a new path. I have great respect for LeBron James as a player. I mean, really, it's hard to argue against this guy. Obviously, everybody's going to lean towards Jordan. I loved Magic Johnson as one of the great players of all time, although the jump shot was not quite pretty enough to put him as the greatest of all time. He was effective, but I don't know you make him the greatest of all time. The lovely and talented one I hear is screaming, right? Is that you, Leslie? Bill Russell. What about the greatest team player of all time? I can't say it. I don't want. I don't want to be bombarded with negative texts. But Russell wasn't. As an all-around player,
he was astounding.
He wasn't a great offensive player.
No, he wasn't.
No, he averaged 15.6 points a game for his career, and he wasn't a great shooter, but he was clever enough to know, obviously, what his strengths were.
Yeah, he did what he had to do. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and the outlet pass, I mean, he invented this thing. The full-court baseball outlet pass, left-handed man. He would grab a rebound, squash the air out of the ball, fire it down the court to a streaking Hondo Havlicek.
Squash the air out of it.
And the Celtics were on a roll, and they were doing things. That was like an early days of Showtime, in essence. And there was a thing the other day, and this struck me. Bill Russell in a game, I guess this was one of those this day in sports items. And there was a game where he scored like 19 points and grabbed 41 boards.
Yeah.
41 rebounds. That's incredible. So I don't doubt that you could include him in the conversation as the greatest of all time, but I don't think that many people would go in that direction. Do you?
No,
You're inclined even to say the great Jerry West, who's overlooked in that category, even though his image is the logo and the signature. They're trying to get rid of that, right?
Yeah.
The NBA get rid of Jerry West.
They want Jordan or something, I guess, but yeah, they want someone else.
Snoop Dogg will be the symbol. Drake. What do you think of Drake's presence at a game? Are you a fan of it or not? Drake.
I think it's dumb.
You don't like it?
Fan, but they always pan to him like he's a part
he's
of
coaching. Yeah, he's pictured more than the coach of the Raptors. He was a pretty clever guy, right? The guy who won the title a couple of years ago, in his rookie year. That guy's good, man.
Yeah, he's a really good coach. They're still
so good. I can't remember his name.
They're still decent now, but I mean, it's not Drake. I never get that. Yeah, there's Drake. Okay.
Well, Spike Lee, will be the same thing with the Knicks, right? Thibodeau, by the way, the coach of the Knicks.
That's right.
Does he not look like he's having like acid reflux attacks all throughout the game? He looks miserable, does he not?
Well, Randall was supposed to pretend to be a number one for a little bit longer than this.
He's 2 for 13 in the game I was watching. Julius Randle.
He's falling off a cliff. RJ Barrett's finally found his game where he may
scored
be
46 the other night.
A nice number 2. But then they have nothing else. Like none of the Quickly kid. All the Knicks fans. We love Quickly. Who the fuck's Quickly? The guy who was
he's in garbage time. Yeah.
Mitchell Robinson, who was supposed to be this big and oh my God, he's hurt. If he wasn't hurt, he'd be great. Well, he's not hurt this year. Mitchell Robinson's garbage. Like the Knicks had just fallen off a cliff.
Wow.
And the Thibodeau stuff where it takes some years, but he wears life off of you.
Yeah.
1 year.
He looks sick though, doesn't he? You see the shots of Thibodeau. I've never seen a coach look so sick on the sidelines. Which, by the way, we never paid homage to the great Bill Fitch, who was often the punchline in a lot of basketball jokes, but actually had a pretty celebrated coaching career with many teams, many years in the league, and he checked out last week. Yeah. Bill Fitch. A lot of Bill Fitch jokes were out there. I don't know why, but it's like, what would you want? You want Bill Fitch to coach your team? It was that kind of thing. Like, what Drek? What are you talking about? Holy Tony Sperano. All right, we have to run. I can't believe we rambled here for an hour. We want to talk about Hialeah Park, though, and I could do a couple of hours on that because I've had so many great experiences there. And you will, too, if you're making plans to go to Hialeah Park. Whether you're talking about punching away on the ponies, which it's heating up. I'm telling you, man, this 3-year-old scene. So, you could just go ahead and circle every Saturday on your calendar from now through that first Saturday in May. And I would book a table there at Hialeah Park in the Champion Simulcasting Room. Take it all in, right? Make a season of it. and you'll have a blast. Somebody just walked out of there with like 36 dimes, more than they walked in with, Lubie. It was a jackpot hit just the other day. I saw on Facebook on their Hialeah Park Facebook page, which gives you a lot of information also. And wow, I mean, 36 dimes. Another one, slot winner with like a wild and an ace of spades. And I don't even know how they hit it, man. It's great. And the people are having a blast in there. They're giving away jackpots all the time like crazy. It's pretty incredible. And the poker room, very well run also. Great food and drink all over the place. Ambiance, second to none. Dazzling casino. Great. I mean, just exquisitely run poker room. And, of course, our favorite room in the place is the Champion Simulcasting Room. Affairs, dinners, all kinds of stuff you can arrange there. If you're having a social evening. I mean, how great are those banquets at Hialeah Park? Always tremendous. Even with, like, buffet stuff, that's not always great. Like, you go to a bar mitzvah or a wedding, Lubie. I don't want to say. No, you didn't have a buffet at your wedding. You had a sit-down service?
Yeah, sit down. Yeah.
What'd that set you back, by the way? Oh, my God.
It was a lot of money. The wedding was a long time. Thank God we're still married, and she's stuck with me forever. We looked at Hialeah, though. It was enticing. It was very enticing to have the wedding.
It's a big mistake. I mean, to be swatting mosquitoes in Homestead versus being and having to, traipse through swamp. Did you see the Duke when he made his exit there? He literally looked like he was leaving the Black Lagoon, my friend. We don't want to offend anybody by saying we were leaving early here, but let's go already with the dinner. No,
it was COVID time.
You were taking pictures. I mean, the photo that you were taking, the photos you were taking, took longer than it took to make Mandaloon the winner of last year's Kentucky Derby. And it's like, where's Lubie, man? I want to say congratulations. No, he's busy. That was crazy, man. Anyway, should have thought about Hialeah Park. We always think about it. It's great. Make it part of your social itinerary to check out Hialeah Park. You can find out all of the special events they have going on there at HialeahPark.com and get a player's card when you come through the door. That's going to entitle you to all kinds of great things and special, entitlements. It's just absolutely fantastic. The player's card program at beautiful Hialeah Park. All right, we're coming back with more. Just getting rolling here, Lubie. We really haven't gotten into anything yet, except that I couldn't find Jim Sarney yesterday for a free pair of sneakers, so I'm going to be walking again with holes in my shoes. There's a country song right there. All right, we're coming back with more in a moment. Harvey's going to join us, Harvey Fielkov, longtime sports writer here in South Florida. See, he's a huge, good. I don't even want to mention the Yankees when Harvey's on the air. To you, it's been very pleasant. I mean, so what if he does a half hour on some minor tennis tournament? It's better than having them go, well, the Yankees got robbed again. It's like, holy fucking Mel Allen, man. I mean, enough with your Yankees. I was a Yankee fan as a kid. I eventually, attached my allegiance to the Mets.
There you go.
And now I'm kind of fighting unattached, Louie. I mean,
as a sports fan, yeah, you just are a fan.
I'm just a fan. I just like, the fact that it's great. This is the best thing about, we were talking about the septuagenarian thing, just to be able to go out there with torn sneakers or not and play some ball. It's fantastic, people. Get out there, man. Start, playing again. I don't know, Lubie. You should be out there playing some hoops or something.
I should play sports. Well, I haven't played sports in over a decade. I don't know, with work and then lives of people I know, we don't really play anything. It's weird.
I have mad respect for these guys in their 60s and 70s that are still playing basketball, like Marty the Party Sacks. Because that's not easy, huh? I mean, the knees. You talk about, taking a beating from Mike Tyson, man. So that would be prohibitive. But, I have to say, you couldn't have had a more kind of paradisal, is that a word, type of circumstance than to be out playing in a park last night in South Florida. Just absolutely amazing people. You people that are freezing elsewhere, I would say we feel your pain, but we don't.
No, I don't. I don't feel.
Come on down. Stay at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, man. Come down when we're down there. I didn't call Tommy Fox yesterday, by the way, Lubie. So I failed in my one certainty that I was going to accomplish yesterday. All right, we're coming back with more. Harvey's going to join us. And also Brett Tessler, the agent to the stars. Interesting, always, the NFL. And we'll get into some things with Brett Tessler, the agent to the stars, here on the program in the next hour of the show. The Defo Show, Ion Channel, Jeff Deforrest. Another handsome gentleman is Mike Lubitz. If you're watching the video stream, also streaming audio all around the world on Jack Namer's fabulous organization, Ion Channel. Google the Defo Show, and we should always post that thing where you can pop this, link in on your car radio, Because a lot of people want to listen to us that still drive to work, Lubie. I keep
Jesus.
getting this.
It's defoandlubie.com/live, and I'll post it here. It's Defo and
Yeah. Pop that up on the screen, man, for anybody
.com.
that's catching this.
Right.
Yeah, because you can just punch this up, and anywhere you go, you can get the show.
Yeah, it's
All right,
just like those who want radio.
Harvey coming up. I would imagine he'll be all over this Jeter thing, man. I mean, who loves Jeter more than Harvey Fielkov? Nobody.
I would think no one. He's Mr. Yankee.
Not even Hannah, man. I mean, and I'm not talking Hannah Storm. I guess Hannah Davis. She couldn't have, this much of a thing for Jeter as Harvey Fialkov or many other Yankee fans. And so we'll see what he thinks because he's a big baseball guy. So perfect entree into it, and then he can start fetching about his Yankees, even though the players are locked out. Do you think that gets resolved today, Lubie? Because that's what's on the table.
They were there till like 2 a.m. last night into this morning, and they're meeting again at 11. They've said they're not leaving until they do a deal. Thank goodness.
And that's happening right here in our hometown, right? Jupiter, Florida.
Yeah.
It's funny, man, walking into there to Roger Dean Stadium and thinking that these crucial and intense negotiations are going on where neither side wants to cave, right? But now they're at, and as Tessler always says, nothing gets accomplished in sports until it's absolutely the last possible second.
Well, they're getting it.
That's what it looks like.
It's March.
All right. Coming back with more in a moment here on the Defo Show. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubie Lubitz, returning in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 8:06.
Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
It really is something when you think back that you tracked a guy down on foot who had stolen your car. It's almost impossible to conceive of.
It wasn't smart. I was talking to one of my nephews, telling him yesterday the story, and he gets a look on his face. I'm like, don't do it. If your car's stolen, but you did it, and I'm an idiot. You don't want to be an idiot like me. Don't ever do that.
Kiss it goodbye, man.
Yes, that's what you're supposed to do.
It's not like this was a Bentley. I mean, you're talking about a Hyundai, for God's sake. You could have gone down to Deal Volkswagen and got yourself a Tiguan with the money you got from the insurance company.
It's true.
I would have been saying sayonara.
The Greek's like, oh, so you got a new car? I'm like, no. He's like, what's wrong with you?
Even if they dumped it in the Publix parking lot around the corner from your house, I would have denied that was my car. No, that ain't it. Good to be with you here. 940 wins, 1230 The Zone. Sports talk at its finest. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubie Lubitz.
The morning just isn't right without Defo. We now return to the Defo Show.
I forgot that we were syndicated down here, Lubie. Two radio stations that nobody listened to. Welcome back to the show, the Defo Show here on Ion Channel, which we're very happy to be with. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie Lubitz with you. Lubie, that was funny, that incident that you people that aren't familiar with our past or just found us here on Ion Channel or by Googling the Defo Show. Lubie gets his car stolen and he tries to chase down the thieves.
I did chase him down.
After getting carjacked at the garbage dump at his apartment complex he was in at the time.
So there.
So, and all of a sudden you're like Ray Donovan, man. You're just running after these guys down the streets of Boston. With a Louisville Slugger. All right, speaking of Louisville Sluggers, we have a heavy hitter coming up here. We love this guy. Harvey Fielkov joins us, a longtime sports writer with the South Florida Sun-Sentinel, now freelancing all over the globe, and well-respected. I'm surprised Sports Illustrated hasn't commissioned him to do an article on, some of the juniors tennis that he's been watching. He really gets into it, dives in with both feet. But welcome to the show, Harvey Fielkov. How are you, my friend?
Awesome. Boy, that's some story. I just heard about Lubie checking out a car thief. My God, he has some cojones. We once did that with a bicycle in my neighborhood. These kids stole my bicycle. I had a 10-speeder. And then we just drove around the whole neighborhood, and we saw my bicycle, except they changed the handlebars to make it look like it wasn't my bicycle anymore.
Right.
So luckily I had, I was around 10. My brother was 16 and 22. So they flexed their muscles a little bit, and we got the bike back, but it was never the same bike anymore. I didn't know how to change the freaking handlebars. but we did it. But it wasn't a carjacking. I mean, it wasn't as dangerous as superhero Lubie did.
He's running after these guys that stole his car, man. And it was, I don't want to say it was a piece of shit, the car, but, it wasn't worth
my life.
risking your life over. I mean, it's not like it was some vintage Corvette or something.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, I had a similar incident as you did, and it taught me one of life's lessons that has stuck with me to this day, Harvey Fielkov. And I would have to say I was probably about 8 years old at the time. And, I lived in Brooklyn. And my bike had stolen. I had just gotten for Christmas like a new Schwinn, which was the big thing at the time with the sort of chrome fenders. Yeah. And a bicycle was a very important component of your overall being back in that period of time, because we used to have those things that change sirens. So it sounded like you were either a police car or a fire truck or an ambulance. And the entire, Myrtle Avenue would completely park traffic, no matter how severe it was. And then it would be three little kids riding by on their two-wheelers. So anyway, we kept these bicycles in a basement, chained up. And one day I go down there to ride my bike, and it's gone. So, we're rolling around the neighborhood, and I see my friend, and he was kind of the Fonz of the neighborhood, a guy named Richie DeLuca, who I've talked about here on the show. And I see DeLuca is on my bike, right? And I said, "Hey, Richie, man, that's my bike. What the hell?" Because I was sort of friends with the guy because, through sports, you could sort of traverse many different levels of people. And so I was a good ball player, even at 8. So even though Richie was like 12, I was respected.
Yeah.
So he looks at me and in all sincerity says, Jesus, if I had known it was yours, I would have never stolen it. Like it was okay to steal a bike, but, he didn't really want to take your friend's bike, so he gave it back to me.
Oh, he gave it back to you. Oh,
yeah, very valuable lesson. Yeah, I mean, very valuable lesson. It's like there's honor among thieves, I guess, was the bottom deduction there.
We rode our bikes everywhere. I mean, back then, I used to go across Jericho Turnpike, across the expressways when I was like 8, 9, 10, 11. I mean, we had to get the comic books at Bohacks like every month. And it was I went to Mid-Island Plaza on my bike. It was like 5, 10, 7 miles to play slot cars. But then by the time I had kids, we didn't let them go around the block. They never used it. Like brand new, because those are the days of Adam Walsh. Remember the Hollywood Bowl thing?
Oh, that was a horrible thing. When I first moved here, that was like the big story. Yeah,
us too. We never let them out of the house after that. They bought these other scooters that they never used. I mean, until they got cars, they never left the neighborhood. So we used to go to other neighborhoods to play baseball, football,
everywhere.
Miles. It didn't matter. No cell phones, no nothing.
Nothing.
It's a different world.
Now, did you have the baseball cards with clothespins in the spokes of your wheels on your bicycle, Harvey Fielkov?
No. We
make that flapping sound. I mean, which I dug that. I really
did that, which was stupid as
fuck.
We
didn't do that.
You didn't do that?
The cards. No, we flipped them in many different ways, as you mentioned on the show before, with colors, and some guys knew how to flip and just cheat you out of your cards.
Oh, yeah. No, there were guys that were really good at it.
Right?
Did you play topsies or leaners? Topsies, leaners, or both?
Right. Closest to the wall. You ever do that one? Just flip.
That was a good game.
To the wall. That was fun. Hey, listen, I had a grandma in Brooklyn. She worked for my aunt, who I see her at my grandma's on Sundays. She worked for Top Chewing Gum. Every Sunday, every other Sunday, go over there. She'd give me all the new baseball cards with that
man,
rock hard gum in it that I break my teeth on.
So what did you do with all these cards, Harvey? Did you save them?
Oh, I saved them in my closet for years. Of course,
good for you.
My mother not only threw away my cards, but threw away my comic books.
My grandparents did the same thing. My dad had an original X-Men Fantastic Four that would have been worth millions.
I could have been rich.
My dad had, oh God, your parents.
That's what we thought. I mean, had I known, I had I would say at least a dozen at one time Carl Yastrzemski rookie cards.
Wow.
Which in mint condition were worth thousands. I actually sold a couple of them. My parents saved one box of cards. But this was kind of like, being bar mitzvahed or, any kind of passing from childhood into manhood. There was a ceremony where we lived. I was on Long Island at the time, where you would take your entire collection of baseball cards, which, were in the thousands, and go to the schoolyard and let everybody know that you were going to throw them in the air like you were Money Mayweather walking into a strip club. And then all the little kids would go diving for them. So there are probably some very rich little kids that took advantage of that. But that was your passing into manhood. You'd given up your baseball card collection.
Remember getting his cards? And you had the checklist card, and you check off the cards that you got. The checklist card. I had to get that. But I had Action Comics, with Superman, World's Finest. But listen, I didn't keep them in mint condition. I didn't know they were going to be worth money. So they probably weren't. But when I was older and my son was born, I did get him. I still have a Mark McGwire college mint rookie card when he was just in his last year of college. But who knows? He's going to get be the steroid king, not only the home run king. So I still have it, but I don't think it's worth a nickel now. He gets ruined by steroids. So
you see these things sell for millions, though. I mean, like a Tom Brady rookie card selling for $4.5 million, and you're thinking, I had two of them for God's sake.
Honus Wagner. Remember Honus Wagner?
Honus Wagner. Well, I mean, that was a rarity, right? There were like 4 cards in existence.
For our time.
All right. Speaking of baseball, Harvey, we want to get into some things here. I would venture to say that there is no bigger Jeter fan on the face of the earth than maybe, with the exception of the Polyman, our good friend Paul Massell of Trivia Challenge fame, than you, Harvey Fielkov. And I know you're like a lot of us that we're just always hoping, okay, give us a decent team that we can kind of get into a little bit. With the Miami Marlins, you don't have to win the pennant every year. You don't have to be the most intense pursuers of the highest priced talent, but give us something we can watch and get into, maybe a little bit relatable in terms of the players that are on the team. And, we'll go. We'll get into it. But what were your thoughts about Derek Jeter first coming in and then going out the door the way he did yesterday?
Well, yesterday was a shock, but when he first came in, I wasn't happy with it. I wanted to stay with the Yankees. I mean, his whole career with the Yankees, not many do that. You mentioned Yastrzemski. Just very few guys have done that. Even Willie Mays, played for the Mets. I didn't like when he took over the Marlins chain, but then I rooted for him because I was a Marlins. I covered the Marlins for years. I rooted for the Marlins. They had some exciting teams back in the day. Obviously, 2 World Series, but. I felt like he became too dependent on pitching. I mean, here's a guy with a great shortstop. Why not stock up some infielders and outfielders? He just gave away all of his all-star outfielders. We know who. It's old story. And I never wanted Stanton from him. I still resent him for giving us Stanton, even though he had a decent year last year. The guy don't stay in the field.
Well, that's reverse, though, psychology there, Harvey. I mean, you're going to hate the guy because he traded you a stiff? Come on.
Well, I also last year I wanted Starling Marte. When Marte was up for sale, the Yankees needed a center fielder. Freaking Hicks is fragile as balsa wood. And Starling Marte was a 5'2" player in his prime. And I was dying that Jeter would give him to the Yankees. And I think he went to Oakland, and now I'm not even sure. I think he's on the Mets. Where is he now? I think he's on the Mets. But I didn't like the way he just stockpiled so many pitching and got rid of all of his hitters. So he didn't really support the good players that he had, like Mickey at short. And Alfaro, I thought, was a decent ball player he got rid of. I just felt, and even Wendell, they bring in Wendell from Tampa. They got rid of Nick Anderson, became a world champ with Tampa, good reliever. I just felt like the pitching is solid right now. If you think about Alcantara, Rodgers, Lopez. They got some great young starters, but man, you got to have some offensive support. Clearly, Sherman wasn't deep pocket, and I guess Jeter wanted some good free agents this year. They're out there.
I think Bobby Sherman, the singer,
yeah,
the guy that
exactly.
used to be on like American Bandstand, had more money than Bruce. Yeah.
Hey, I still watch Here Come the Brides on reruns. I have a Bobby Sherman, man.
He had great hair. He really did. Jersey Kyle had hair like that once. Believe it or not.
But listen, Jeter, I don't know what he's going to do next. He did hire the first female GM manager ever. That was pretty cool with the crazy last name. But listen, Jeter's a legend. He was one of my idols for years. He'll never supplant Mickey Mantle. Even guys like I love like Paul O'Neill getting his number retired. Thurman Munson, just legends. But I just feel like Jeter didn't really pull all the right moves. I don't think he was he wasn't the GM, but he really was the GM in my mind. I just don't feel like he really did a great job at the Marlins. So hopefully he comes back to the Yankees. Who knows? By the way, lost in the shuffle here, my Yankees, they hired Bam Bam Mullen to be an assistant batting coach. Now, I don't know if I want to hire a 220 hitter as my hitting coach. But
obviously, he knew what he was doing when he was in the bigs.
Right? But I think he's manager in waiting, because they interviewed him like right before they hired Aaron Boone, and they loved him. But Boone won out in the interview process. I think Boone is going to be looking over his shoulder this year at Bam Bam. I mean, not Fred Flintstone Bam Bam, but Bam Bam Mullen. And I think Hensley Mullen could be the next Yankee manager if Boone continues to be a push-button manager with his bullpen instead of going with his gut now and then. So a lot of baseball news, Jeff. I don't like the new playoff system that's probably going to come into play. 14 teams is ridiculous. It's getting like hockey and the NBA. And why play 162 games and then have 14 teams in the playoffs? It's kind of silly. I like that they got rid of the one-game playoff. That was a joke. 162 games to have a one-game playoff. But I don't know. I just hope to see spring training starting soon, and let's get baseball going. I'm pretty bored right now. It's the Miami Heat and the Panthers, but I like to get some baseball going. That's my passion. The Yankees are my passion, as you may know.
Yeah, you alluded to them 7 times.
Nobody could tell that. I mean, you turned like a question about Derek Jeter's departure from the Marlins into a Yankee bitch session, and then worship on top of that. And then you're talking about all the greats of the past who have left us, including the great Thurman Munson. I mean, Al Sharpton doesn't cover his bases in a short period of time as you do.
Yankee subject.
Why did you bring up the Scooter while you were at it, man? Phil Rizzuto, man, he was
Holy cow! Wow. Freaking Meatloaf died. All I thought of was Phil Rizzuto when Meatloaf died.
Meatloaf. You know what? I have Ozzy Osbourne in the Deadpool, and I have to pay for this trip to Italy, and there's a 3-month rollover right now. And I didn't realize is he day to day Ozzy Osbourne? He's got all kinds of health issues, and I don't want to be rooting for a guy's death, but we had Meatloaf in the last one, and they drew new names before he checked out. I'm all around this thing, so I'm worried about Ozzy Osbourne right now.
Wow, I was watching some of the SAG Awards, and they had that in memoriam thing, and oh my God, my childhood died.
Everybody's checking out, man. Ball players,
what a year,
entertainers. It's ugly.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, so Jeter leaves. I don't know. I felt that there was an opportunity there for Derek Jeter, and it's not his persona, and never was to be this guy that was overly enthusiastic about embracing outsiders or whatever. But I do believe this, and you've been in the South Florida area forever like me, and analyzing these things as to why people don't go, why they don't care, why teams fail at the box office, and in terms of viewership and sponsorships, and struggle to get anywhere near what other teams are paying in the case of baseball with other payrolls, because you can buy yourself out of some mistakes like your Yankees do, right? They'll spend the money, but then they'll just say, "Hey, okay, so we blew $150 million on this guy, it's okay. We'll just get another $150 million guy, or maybe a $300 million guy." The Marlins don't have that luxury, and there's this thing. I always like this tag when they were handicapping horse races. I've mentioned it before, where the comment was, must make no mistakes. And in the case of the Marlins, that's kind of what it is. And if you're not going to be really good, then you want to have maybe some kind of effort to integrate yourself into the consciousness of the community. And I don't think Jeter was close to bringing that about. I always felt a little awkward around the organization during the Jeter run. I don't know if you felt the same way.
Yeah, well, he doesn't have really. And he's not charismatic off the field. He's kind of boring off the field. He never.
Lubie is more exciting as a personality. There's no question.
He has no pulse. When we used to speak, the guy has no pulse. On the field, he's thrilling, exciting, charismatic. Off the field, he's just dull. I hate to say it. He just keeps.
But how does he entertain all these beautiful women then? I mean, do you think they want to be with a stiff just because he has money and fame?
Yes. And he's a good one.
There you go. That's a good question for today. Make that the poll question.
Wait a second.
Beautiful women want to be with a stiff just because he has money and fame.
And look.
Man, he's good looking.
The guy's a great looking guy. And
he is. And he's in great shape, Harvey. Great shape.
So any Yankee can shag any beautiful women. Okay, I saw a thing with Gio Urshela. Married, his girlfriend's gorgeous, Gio Urshela. So Jeter could get anything he wants. But back to the Marlins, it's also a beautiful stadium, but it's in the wrong place. I mean, during rush hour, it's a nightmare to get there for a 7:00 game for Broward or Miami.
I would agree. Yeah, it's prohibitive.
It's in the wrong place, Jeff. And that's a negative. And by the way, he did get into the playoffs during the bubble year, during the first pandemic year.
It looked a little promising there. I mean, they had a few exciting players they had picked up. And at the same time, it looked like, if this Sixto Sanchez guy had worked out, maybe it's a different story.
Right. And then right into the dump. But listen, it all went downhill when Fernandez died. That seems to be
hurt also. Yes. No question.
Beginning of the end of this franchise. But right now, I don't know where to go with the team. They have great young pitching, as I said. I like Jazz Chisholm, exciting second baseman. Miggy's still a solid ball player, short. But boy, other than that, I'm not seeing a lot on that lineup. We just hope that the next whoever's in there, the CEO, could turn it around. But if Sherman doesn't give him money to do it with, just going to be another Dolphin situation. Years and years of horrible seasons and apathetic fans. So we just got to stick with the Heat and the Panthers right now. They're both playing. The Panthers hit a little speed bump, a little speed bump, but they had some good offensive games, even though they came out in the short stick against Edmonton the other day. But the Heat right now, I mean, watch them last night. I mean, they go 10-11 deep, Jeff, and whatever.
I was thinking this, Harvey. They really are a team. I mean, in the true sense and the way Spoelstra is not afraid to just pop anybody into the equation, right? And they fit like a glove. I mean, who are these guys, right? Caleb Martin,
unbelievable.
Struce. I mean, you could see that he could shoot the ball, but did you think he was going to be this valuable of a component on a second team? They, like you say, they go deep and they really play as a unit, and kind of spearheaded by Jimmy Butler, but at the same time, Hero, has his share of leadership, and the others seem to really fit in well with what they're doing.
Forgetting about Kyle Lowry, who's just a beautiful ball player. We didn't appreciate him as much as we should have when he was on Toronto. Him and DeRozan, just sensational players. DeRozan's doing it. I mean, he was alone last night. Chicago was kind of beat up, but Hero, to me, he's so much fun to watch. He's hippity hops, and he can create his own shot. He shoots with the left hand. He's an exciting player.
Lubie thought he was a stiff when they drafted him. Yeah, who's this guy?
Oh, I loved him from day one. I loved him from day one. Him and the little lefty guard that the Lakers have now, blanking on his name. But I love Hero. But listen, one thing they do that I don't like is they play like team ball for 47 minutes, and then it comes down to hero ball, not Tyler Hero ball at the end when they isolate with Jimmy Butler. I just don't understand why they don't keep the ball movement going and play like a team until the end. A lot of teams do that, but the Heat really don't need to do that. Spo's a great coach. He makes great play calling at a timeout. And I just feel like they should continue the ball movement, the teamwork in the last few minutes of games. They've been blowing a lot of leads and barely holding on. But I just feel like they got to keep the flow going. But what a fun, like you said, Caleb Martin. They got to sign this guy long term. So defense, offense, reach out of the building. Max Struess, turn him loose. He's Duncan Robinson only with some physical build. You see him run down the guy last night and block it from behind. I mean, that was a shocker. So it's just a fun team to watch. I just hope that the Heat and Panthers go deep into the playoffs. The Panthers have to get that bugaboo off their back, the gorilla off their back.
Mayo says no, it's not happening, man. Mike Mayo.
Oh my God, 1996. 1996 is the last playoff.
You bring it up to Mayo, and he's like, "Yeah, well, I'll believe it when I see it." I'm like, "Come on, Mike. Come on, Mike. This is a guy that wants to go to Skyline Chili Dough and have lunch. You're invited, by the way, Harvey. When we do that, you can have mine."
This is a balanced team. 4 lines that can score. Great defense. I mean, Ekblad's having a Norris Trophy type season. Forget about Barkov and Huberdeau, the superstars. I mean, they got every complementary pieces. They don't even need the coach. Burnett could go home, man. They don't miss the old guy from Chicago. But I'm just telling you, team.
Yeah, I mean that was a whole wild episode in the midst of what was a great start to the season, and all of a sudden, this guy who you had nothing but respect for his entire career. Yeah, and he has to leave and exit in total disgrace. Which did you ever see that interview, Harvey? You're a big hockey fan. This was one of the most interesting things. I would imagine it's on YouTube. But when the owner of the Blackhawks was holding the town meeting and he started cursing out the reporter for bringing up the thing about, I believe the player's name was Beach, that was sexually assaulted or abused while he was with the Blackhawks years ago, and that caused Quenneville, who apparently was aware of the situation or had heard something about it but never said anything about it, told the team, people at a meeting, the coaches, hey, let's forget about this. We got the cup to win, and
exactly.
It's not like that's the most flattering of positions that he could have taken. But I really liked him. I mean, to survive that and still be playing well, though, is it really bodes well for the team's chances. And otherwise, we're going to be eating a lot of Skyline chili with mayo over at whatever last dreadful location they have here in South Florida.
You're talking about one of the greatest hockey coaches of all time. I mean, so this is not like just an average coach. I mean, 3 cups with Chicago. He's up there in the victory total of all time. I mean, to get canceled like that, what a horrible way to end your career. I feel sorry for him. I know he made a bad decision at the wrong time, but there had to be other avenues that this young man could have explored besides, the few people he told about it. I just feel
it's not an easy thing, I mean, obviously difficult to understand having not experienced that, fortunately. All right, Harvey, we have to run, man. It was a lot of fun. I love that you turned the Jeter story. Who else could have done that? I mean, but you turned it into a Yankee bitch session. That's fantastic. I mean,
that's amazing.
Jeter's like the best of all time. How could I not? By the way, I got to mention before I go, tennis nut that I am. Congratulations, Medvedev. I know he's going through a tough time with this whole Russian thing.
Number one, too.
Against the war. Number one, first time since 2004 when Roddick was number one, where none of the big 4, if you include Andy Murray in there, that someone else became number one. But he's not going to hold it on for long because Djokovic just doesn't have many points to protect in the next month or so. That's the Indian Wells and Miami Open. If he gets his shot and can play, which I don't think he will. So I think they won't let him in California and Indian Wells because they're pretty strict out there with the vaccination. But Miami, no problem. Hey, come on in. You don't need shots in Florida. No problem.
He'll be the face of the tournament, no doubt about it. I saw him lose to this guy Vesely, who I never heard of, this left-hander. And there were some great tournaments over the weekend. I do want to say this, Harvey, because you talk about these, sort of lower-level tournaments, and I would consider Delray Beach to be one of those. And having just gone to like one match there, I sort of, it kind of, emphasized my interest there in watching some of these minor tournaments that were going on. And to see Nadal and Medvedev in a semifinal in Acapulco, and then Nadal goes against the winner of the Delray tournament, Nori, and he gives him a little bit of a battle, but Nadal is undefeated in 2022 when it looked like he was finished. He was washed up. He was butterbean ash, for God's sake. And, that's remarkable, man. Great stuff from a legend.
Miracle man. And congratulations to Sloane Stevens, local girl from Coral Plantation in Coral Springs. She finally won her first title in 7 years. She won the U.S. Open about 4 years ago. And kind of went away. Doesn't really have the fire in the belly, but man, if she just loved tennis like you and I, she would be top 3 player in the world.
Yeah, she seems indifferent. She really does. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we have to run. We're flat
All right,
out of time here,
all right,
Harvey. We got things to do here, and it's always great having you on the show. Good stuff as always, my friend. All right, that's it for Harvey. You had to cut him off.
Yes.
He would have continued to bitch about the Yankees. How did he do that? That was amazing, right? I mean, all of a sudden, you're talking about Jeter, and you're thinking he's going to say, "Well, you know what? It didn't quite work out as he had expected, and it didn't surprise me." And instead, it's like, "Oh, we could have had this guy, and thank you for dumping Stan in our lap."
How did you do that? It was like you asked.
That's Yankee fandom. See, but you don't have that kind of psychotic.
No.
Line of thinking with teams in South Florida. People aren't, as obsessed as they are. But with Harvey, and these are, ties that the guy's been in Florida baking in the sun, right? Having his mind numbed like the rest of us for 30 years now, 40 maybe.
Feels like
All right, Brett Tessler, the agent to the stars. A lot of things always happening around the National Football League, and we'll get into it with Brett Tessler, the agent to the stars. He's coming up next here on the Defo Show. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, great place to go. John Kajemi yesterday had me convinced, Lubie, that we're doing this, although I failed in my one assignment yesterday. My one to-do list thing, as I said, was to make final arrangements with Tommy Fox to get down there for a show with Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, because we're going to love it, and we're hoping some people will join us down there. A lot of fun. I know they have limited accommodations. They're spectacular. So you can check that out at jimmyjohnsonsbigchill.com. And it's worth looking into. But just hanging there is great.
You're going
to love it. Yeah. Food is great. The service, fantastic. The vibe is just absolutely perfect. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill type of feeling there, right? Where you can just kick back, relax, and forget about all of the things that are concerning you. Maybe it's not going to get any better. So, you know what? Deal with it in a nice way, right? In a mellow kind of way, as the song goes. Just go out there and chill out at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Great food and drink, whether you're looking for, a really super fine, elite seafood, or, just something casual like Lubie had with the pork nachos there that were piled. Yeah, oh, my God. Right. Like the Tower of Pizza. All right? The Tower of Mike Piazza, would it be?
Tower of Pizza. The Tower of Pizza would be good too.
I mean, to the ceiling, my friends, to the ceiling, piled up there. And, this isn't one of those things with nachos where there's a big scoop of guacamole on the top and some salsa, and that's it, right? You get down like past the second layer, and it's barren chips, right? Dry as a bone. Waiter, can I have another drink here? I hate that, right? You want that stuff loaded all the way to the bottom there. Like
yes.
The last bite should be the ones that make you think, my God, I ate too much, but man, it was worth it.
Yes.
Gambling Gourmet style, right? Mike Mayo,
yes.
Again, pops into my head. Great stuff all the way around. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, great location, mile marker 104, Overseas Highway, right there on the Bay side. You're going to love it. But what a pit stop. That's one that you absolutely have to make, whether you're a NASCAR driver or not. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104 at the Overseas Highway. All right, I'm Jeff Deforrest, coming back with Mike Lubitz and the agent to the stars, Brett Tessler, brought to you by Will and Trust attorney and estate planner Michael D. Wild. That's coming up in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 8:38.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
The simple pleasures of this job, the way a stadium sounds when one of my players performs well on the field, the way we are meant to protect them in health and in injury. Less work, more attention, caring for them, caring for ourselves in the games too.
The agent to the stars, the one and only Brett Tessler.
Welcome back to the show, the Defo Show. That's customized music done by the great Albert Castiglia, who is on a fantastic tour, the Blood Brothers Tour, with another tremendous blues rocker out of Houston, Texas, named Mike Zito. And they really are blood brothers, and they have both their bands touring right now. So if they're hitting a city near you, make sure you make plans to get out there and catch the great Albert Castiglia. Kind enough. Did he ever pay for that studio time? Did he tell you, Lubie?
I don't know.
He said the music was sitting there at the studio and somebody was going to have to pay for the session, if you wanted to go pick it up. Thank you, Albert. Joining us right now, and a guitar connoisseur, along with many other things, a man of wealth and great taste. And the agent to the stars here joins us on the show, Brett Tessler. His appearance every week brought to you by Will and Trust attorney and estate planner, Mr. Michael D. Wild, another mensch of a human being. And we welcome on this fine Tuesday, Brett Tessler, the agent to the stars, to the show. Brett, how are you, my friend?
Hey, doing great, guys. Thanks for having me.
Morning.
Thanks, for joining us here. I was just thinking about franchise tagging Lubie. Is it too soon to be thinking about that? I mean, and how crazy does it drive you? I know you used to take exception with the idea of the franchise tag. I mean, what is your feeling about its use and position in the NFL now? How crucial are these decisions, especially when it seems like everybody is tap city against the salary cap?
Depends on the player, depends on the situation. And so in the case of a quarterback, when is the last time you've seen a quarterback have a career-ending injury? And so nobody has ever played the franchise tag game better than Kirk Cousins.
Yep.
Because these quarterbacks, most of these quarterbacks, the purpose of the franchise tag for the teams is to kind of force players to take a long-term deal that's ultimately less than what market would be if they became an unrestricted free agent. I mean, if a guy like Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady ever became unrestricted free agents, what would the market value be?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, how much would be too much for those guys? Would $50 million a year be too much for Tom Brady? No way. I mean, you can't put a price on him. He's more important to his team than pretty much any player in any sport, save of maybe like a LeBron James. Like basketball is a very individual sport, but beyond that, there's no player in any other sport that's worth the kind of money that those guys would get. So obviously the teams are very thankful that they have the franchise tag at their disposal to be able to keep a guy for 2 more seasons beyond when his rookie contract expires at a well below market value. And so if a player is patient and if a player is willing to assume the risk of playing those 2 seasons, which of course, a good agent would get their guy a big insurance policy through, Lloyd's of London. In that case, if guys were willing to be more patient, in the end, I mean, they could basically blow the cap out of the water. But nobody really wants to assume that risk. And frankly, most players aren't always about getting the bottom dollar. We all know that Tom Brady played for a fraction of what he's worth throughout his career. So most guys just want to get the security that they feel like they've earned and that they deserve. And in most cases, if teams are willing to be fair with them and their agents, you can get that long-term deal worked out prior to going down the franchise road, and everybody can be happy and live with it.
Is it time some kind of Larry Bird rule was established with regard to the NFL salary cap? I would imagine as an agent, you would be in favor of its expansion. But I'm looking at the Atlanta Falcons, and they have like a $45 million cap hit with Matt Ryan, a good quarterback, still serviceable, beyond serviceable, probably better than that. But still, at the tail end of his career, which has produced a total of 0.0 Butarski championships, although, part of that was the fault of Kyle Shanahan. But that being said, I mean, that's like 24% of their salary cap for the year. Is it time to put a parenthetical around maybe the quarterback and exclude the quarterback's exorbitant pay? Because, I mean, it's only getting higher. I would imagine Kyler Murray in his new proposal where he's, kissing and making up with the Arizona Cardinals probably is looking for $50 million or whatever, just like Mahomes and these other guys. But is it time to make that an exception, that one position? Whatever you pay your quarterback, you pay him. As you suggested, I mean, you could blow the roof off it. Aaron Rodgers might be worth $100 million, or Tom Brady to a team, but not then punish the team in the sense that they can't afford to have good players on the rest of the roster.
Well, you're making my life easy, Deep. You just answered my question for me.
Yeah.
You just answered my question for me, and yes, I do believe that the quarterback position should have its own salary cap, to where once you maybe it'd be something where they would go off the averages of the top certain amount of players, and then if a team went above and beyond that for an Aaron Rodgers or something like that, then potentially it would remove a certain percentage off the primary salary cap, which would entail all the rest of the players on the roster. So maybe they could try to figure out something like that. But at this point, it is really hard to win if you have one player eating up such a large percentage of your overall cap. So I think what you are talking about there, I think you're onto something. And I think it would certainly make a lot of sense.
Yeah, bring me into the next, collective bargaining negotiating session, and I'll bring that up. I'm sure it'll garner a lot of respect from the 32 owners around the league. All right, the phone rings. It's some hard-ass GM from one of the fabled organizations, and he says, "Listen, Brett, we want to, renegotiate, restructure your client's contract here because we are up against the cap, and." He's either going to take less money or do this for us, or we're going to have to send him packing. What's your first reaction? I mean, do you want to curse the guy out? I mean, how do you feel when you get that call?
Well, no agent's ever happy, to get a phone call letting them know that it's going to cost their client and then indirectly themselves money. So, yeah, your first instinct is usually not a happy one. But as an agent, you are, over time, you learn to not take things personally. And hopefully the teams take the same approach with you when you come to them with something they don't want to hear. And so, everybody just kind of needs to remain calm, and then you process it. And then as an agent, it's your job to reach out to some other teams, talk to some other people around the league who you respect and who you trust, to get their opinion of what such and such player would now be worth on the open market if they're coming off a season of injury or lesser production or whatever the case may be. There's been some instances where teams have asked guys to take a pay cut. They find out that the market might be better than Team A expects. They let him go. And then the guy ends up signing for a deal for more money than he would have made if he had stayed where he was under his prior contract. So you need to first find out what's behind door number 2 before you make any such decisions. And if you realize that the new amount that you're being offered is still greater than what you'd be able to get elsewhere, then suddenly you become very reasonable. If you find out that the player's value is every bit as strong, if not even stronger, then you can tell that guy to go F himself.
Which would be a much more favorable position than taking the pay cut, I'm sure. Brett Tessler, the agent of the stars, with us here on the Defo Show on Ion Channel. Lubie, I know you have one here for Brett Tessler, and go ahead, fire it up.
Well, there's a couple things that I'm curious about. First, I really don't want this to be the second offseason. Defo and I actually last offseason mocked it, but it's still something that was brought up in every conversation, the offseason of Aaron Rodgers, because, again, the guy won now back-to-back MVPs. The Green Bay Packers, again, are one of the shining teams right now, both on offense and defense, for him to be there. They're willing to pay him supposedly whatever he wants. So all the ideas seem like he's going to come back. Is Aaron doing this every year now to be like LeBron in the sense that I want them to know that I'm going to hold them accountable? Like, you're around the league, you're around these guys. Usually quarterbacks want to sign up as early as possible so that the team follows them. Is Aaron Rodgers doing this purposely to make sure the Packers keep doing what they've been doing? Because we've seen it with LeBron, we saw with Tom Brady. These organizations will sort of take advantage of the players, and Aaron is sick of it. Like, why is this an every year thing now with Aaron Rodgers?
Well, first of all, I think most people realize that Aaron Rodgers is a different kind of cat. And aside from, personality, characteristics of him, he is probably the best pure quarterback ever. I mean, I've never seen anybody throw a ball with the efficiency he does. And I grew up on Marino. And so I will just say that, when you look at the other great quarterbacks of the generation, the Breezes, the Mannings, the Bradys, different guys that, have different attributes. Obviously, Tom Brady, the ultimate winner. Peyton Manning, amazing pure passer, like of the Dan Marino mold. But when you just talk about an all-round guy, a guy who can just throw on the move, even still carry the ball upfield if necessary, throw the deep ball. There's just nobody purely better than Aaron Rodgers. And so, when you're the greatest quarterback in the history of a franchise that had names like Favre and Starr, I think, you're in a position to kind of do whatever you want. And I think that he's showing that he's the wrong guy to mess with, because obviously when they went down the Jordan Love route, when they went ahead, when that team desperately needed more offensive weapons to try to put them over the top to win a Super Bowl, and instead you end up drafting Aaron Rodgers' replacement with that pick, and you trade up to do it, and you don't give him the courtesy of a heads up that it's coming. I think there's certain instances where we all have regrets about the way we handle certain things. And I'm fairly sure that I'm pretty confident the Packers would like to have that one back. And so, you know what? It is what it is. He played for them this year. I don't know what their arrangement was to get him to come back this season. And I don't know what their mindset is moving forward in terms of how they feel about him, how he feels about them. But obviously, this is the time of the year when there's not a whole lot going on, and it certainly makes for great conjecture. And at the end of the day, I'm just not sure that anywhere Aaron Rodgers could go, from the Denvers to any of the other teams, to the San Franciscos, to the other teams you've heard mentioned, I'm just not sure there's anywhere better than Green Bay. They continue to be a good team. They're always right there on the cusp, and naturally he's a big part of the reason why. San Francisco's a damn good team, and Jimmy Garoppolo is better than he gets credit for. But I think anybody could agree that Aaron Rodgers would be an upgrade at that position. But I don't think Aaron Rodgers will be playing quarterback for the 49ers next year. I think Tom Brady will.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Oh, you think he comes back now?
That's a bombshell here. Holy Stephen A. Smith. I mean, that'd
Tom
be wild.
Brady just loves playing this sport too much, and when you're playing it at as high of a level as he was, and it's obvious that, this last season in Tampa, even though statistically he was amazing as always, just the team just seemed to kind of lack the same mojo they had in that first year, whether it was the head coach quarterback dynamic. I'm not sure what it was, but something was slightly off. And this guy, he loves this sport more than anybody has ever loved anything in this world. And, if you've played this long, why stop now? And I think this was the graceful way for him to remove himself from Tampa, where they accomplished the ultimate accomplishment together in winning that Super Bowl the year before this one. And so, you know what, maybe they owe it to each other to kind of go their separate ways. And this was the classiest way to do it. And I think, San Francisco obviously is Tom Brady's hometown, and that team is really right on the cusp of a Super Bowl. And I just couldn't imagine a more fitting way for his career to truly end once and for all, because when you're as proud and successful of an athlete as Tom Brady, the way things ended in that final game is not the way a guy like him wants to go out against the Rams there. I was at that game, and, he just has had too great of a season, too great of a career for, in my opinion, for it to end under those circumstances.
Supposedly Giselle was spotted. That's interesting that you would say that. It kind of, hit me very, with impact, because you're thinking, yeah, I guess it's possible. This is the Agent of the Stars talking. But Giselle was spotted holding hands with the children, looking at the sea lions, which is really one of the few attractions outside of the food there in San Francisco. So there may be something to that. That's a very interesting theory. Brett Tessler, the Agent of the Stars, with us here, brought to you by Will and Trust attorney Michael D. Wild. All right, I had a serious question about the Combine, and I know now will you be attending the Combine this year? I know you have in the past.
Will not be attending this year's Combine, and the NFL Players Association just had their mandatory annual seminar. They did it virtually again, which frankly is the best way for that to be done. It keeps them from having to put 1,200 people in one room that all want each other dead. And so,
yeah, that must be a hell of a good time, man. I mean, that's got to be one of the conventions you look forward to, huh?
I will admit, being in that room, fortunately for me, Deef, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm lucky. Maybe it's my personality. Maybe it's my approach to the business. I've always been fortunate to be able to avoid any of the confrontation or controversy, but there has been numerous times throughout the years, some of them well documented, some of them legendary, some of them have been written about and discussed about, agent on agent confrontation. There's an awful lot of money at stake in this business. You either win big and lose big. Entire lives are changed. It revolves around, a client that you're able to sign, or a client that you're able to keep, or a client that switches agents to you. Your fortunes can reverse in this business in such a hurry, for positive or for negative. And so naturally, when somebody loses a client and they don't believe it was done in a professional or legal manner, tensions run high. And let's just say there's been numerous fisticuffs that have really been right on the
what a blast
right
what
on
the hell?
Yeah, there's been numerous times where there's been confrontations, people putting hands on each other, where I've had to break things up or drag somebody out of something.
What the hell?
All of a sudden you're Mills Lane. That's awesome. Can we go with you to the next one when they stop doing this virtually, or is this going to be the wave of the future because it keeps the peace?
Hopefully it's the wave of the future, not just for keeping the peace, but really I found it to be very streamlined. I thought the Players Association, our union, did an amazing job presenting it. I feel like, one of the problems at Indianapolis is that during the seminar that day, and it's a long seminar, it goes from like 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Wow.
You've got a lot of meetings set up with teams. So you're allowed to pop in and out of there. And if you've got an impending free agent that teams want to talk about, you could meet. I've met, with 6-7 general managers in that time, where you kind of leave 20 minutes into the thing and you come back with maybe a half hour left, if at all. Whereas doing it this way, I thought it was very informative. And I spoke to some other agents who, have been in this business a long time, like I have, and they felt like it's clearly the best way to do it moving forward as well.
All right, we were just going to ask if you knew of, or you thought that Charlie Casserly's hairpiece was the worst you've ever seen. No
Charlie was a nice guy. Charlie was a nice guy.
Oh, great guy, I'm sure. But I mean, that's a bad piece. I'm sorry. It's a bad piece. Yeah, go ahead.
It was distracting. I mean, there was times where I remember when he first came to the Houston Texans, I think I might have represented their first signing, or one of their earliest signings when they first came into existence. It was an old punter that I represented. And so, you know, I was in Houston and I went by to tour their brand new facility and, you know, meet with Charlie and some of the other people there in the front office that I knew. And yeah, Charlie was definitely a very unique guy, but he's a guy that professionally I have nothing but the best experiences with.
All right. Well said. Very diplomatic there. Kind of implied that we were right about the peace. We're right about this. Speaking of peace, you'll have peace of mind when you deal with Michael D. Wild for all of your will and trust needs, which people need to attend to. I mean, sooner than later. You never know when the clock's running. Let's face it. Brett Tessler. So Michael D. Wild, the place to go. You recommended him to me. Saved my life when it came to the financial dealings of the passing of my mother. Really was a tremendous asset, and stayed with it too. Not one of these attorneys that then ask you for subsequent retainers and fees. I mean, he really does a great, thorough job. Michael D. Wild.
Yeah, and this is the part of the show that I always look forward to, Deef, just because it's so important to everybody out there listening. You know, it's great to talk about what we talk about every week, you know, as far as the dealings in the NFL. But this is where I feel like hopefully somebody out there listening who hasn't gotten their estate plans taken care of yet, hopefully the light goes on and they reach out to them at southfloridawills.com. And that's where you get these things taken care of, and it gives you and your family ultimate peace of mind. And when you reach out to Michael Wild, he's just such a, you know, some attorneys are a little strange and weird to deal with. He's a guy that's just really down to earth, really straightforward. And he really helps you realize how quick and simple the process can be. And once you get it taken care of, you have nothing to worry about moving forward. So reach out to Michael Wild, southfloridawills.com.
You heard it here first. Brady, quarterback in the Niners this year. Brett Tessler, the agent of the Stars. Great stuff as always. Always a pleasure, my friend. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you again next Tuesday. Thanks for joining us.
All right, guys. Have a great week.
Brett Tessler, the agent of the Stars. You think that could happen, Lubie? I mean, you know,
people think.
Tessler's not one to drop like just idle speculation.
No. I mean, a lot of people were weirded out that he's retiring after one of his best statistical years.
Yeah.
It's like his top 4 statistical year.
Graceful exit. I decided to come back. You plug him in that San Francisco offense, and it's like, sorry, Mike McDaniel, but who needed you? We got Tom Brady.
That was the thing. They went far with nothing at quarterback, and I love Tessler. Garoppolo last year was not good. They went to the freaking precipice of the Super Bowl with nothing at quarterback. If you put Brady, even older Brady, they're fucking scary. I don't know.
Put down a few bucks on him to go all the way. All right. We have to go away. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll go old school with Tony Segreto. We'll see if he taped up his sneakers to go for a walk.
No.
I mean, you know.
I would presume no.
I'm looking at that pair right now. They don't look too secure. That's for sure. I mean, holes in my shoes. And that's why we keep working. So we'll do it again tomorrow at 7 in the a.m. right here on Ion Channel. Jack Namer, Amy, tremendous. Brad Schiller. We haven't seen or talked to Brad in a while, but man, I mean, the guy's just doing a good job. It's running smoothly. Thank you, people, for tuning in. Google the Defo Show. You can find all the shows, and we'll join you tomorrow at 7 here on the East Coast of the United States of America as we leave you know that.
The time.
It's 9:02.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.